Hello, hello. Is anybody there? Nu, fii atent că nu e nimeni. Nu, uite, de data asta nu intră nimeni. Mai am 2 minute până încep. Uite, am intrat 2. Hello, Ing. This is Brașov. It's my hometown in the heart of Transylvania and in the heart of Romania. Welcome, Sofia. Hello, Melvin. Welcome. This is Brașov, what you are seeing here. It's my home city. I presented it 3rd times till now. Last time yesterday. And it's a very beautiful image of it from up here. I go closer a little bit. It's actually the medieval city which existed here since 1420. After they moved from the older location. I will try to show it to you to see that it's a little bit larger that you can see. That one, it's only the main medieval city. What you can see, it's the modern part of the city. I have more on the other side of the trees, and it's another side on the other side of the mountain Tâmpa. But here I'm focusing only on the old medieval city. Welcome, Karen, and congratulations for winning the prize. I left a message for you, a comment with my email to send me your postal address to send it the lead figure of Vlad the Impaler Dracula. Welcome, Robert. You're welcome. You deserve it. You pay attention to all I have said, so you keep it in your mind. You remember it. Today, I will not keep you too long here. Will be a tour of only 30 minutes. Because I try to do something different. I try to introduce you into the Romanian poetry of the last 60 years. The Romanian culture, I think it's almost unknown on the world level. That because of us, not because of you. Are not many translations of our poets, of our writers, novelists in English or in another language of international circulation. So that's why I try to do something today instead of our leaders, and I will try to recite for you 5 of the most of one of the most important poetries and well-known poetries in Romania, belonging to 5 different poets. The first one, which I recited, belongs to Tudor Arghezi. This is the poet. He died in the 50s. It's one of the most important classic poets of the Romanian literature. He lived in Bucharest, and of course his poetries and his opera is studied at the level of the high school in Romania of today. And because the autumn is here and September its first month, I'm thinking to start with a poetry called Never Yet Had Autumn. Exists a song created on the lyrics of Tudor Arghezi with this poetry, a very beautiful one, sang by one of the most beloved singers in Romania, Tudor Gheorghe. And I will try now to recite it for you, and I hope you will like it. So, Never Yet Had Autumn by Tudor Arghezi. Never yet had autumn so enticing shone to our soul, too eager to receive that blade. With pale silken fabrics all the plains been sown, while for clouds the tree leaves weave some new brocade. Houses cluster closely as so many a pitcher, with wine at their bottoms, thick with being old. Lion banks of azure of the sun streams richer, from whose muddy waters I have sipped pure gold. Flocks of darling starlings climb the sky westwards, like the sickly plumage of the grey hornbeam, which is molting sadly as it casts upwards leaves in azure's beam. Who's inclined to mourning, who would like to wail, out to hear their urging, thought it's far from plain, watched the torch of poplars that from heaven's hail, burying his shadow where they shade the plain. This was the first one of Tudor Arghezi. Usually his poetry, it was inspired from the nature. It was inspired from the life of the peasant. And thank you, Karen. And as I told you, his poetry, it's very deep connected with the realities of the Romanian village and of the Romanian culture. Of course, not Tudor Arghezi. It's the most important Romanian poet. The most important Romanian poet lived in to the end of the 19th century. It's called Mihai Eminescu, and it's one of the most. It's considered to be the genius of the Romanian poetry. His opera includes a lot of love poetry, describing of the nature, and because of his philosophy studies, one of the longest poetries. It have about 90 parts. It's considered to be inspired from the cosmology and from this kind of philosophy of creating of the world. It's actually the love story between a star from the sky, the creators, and a girl of emperor from here. I will not recite it because it's too long, but because here we are on a hill near Brașov, and very close to the mountain Tâmpa, which actually we call it a mountain, but actually it's only a hill. It's missing about 50 meters to be a real mountain. I will recite you another poetry of Mihai Eminescu, which is called The Evening on the Hill. Imagine an evening on a hill with shepherds and sheep all over it, in a very gentle evening of autumn, with a very gentle sun going to sleep. So, The Evening on the Hill by Mihai Eminescu. The horn is morning on the hill in the new evening, the herd slowly climb it, the stars show the way happy shining. The waters weep into the wells, clearly springing, under an acacia tree you, my darling, are waiting. Holy and clear the moon passed through the skies, you scout through the leaves with your very bright eyes, the stars give birth on the sky with clear nights, your heart is filled with longings, your mind filled with thoughts. Rushing clouds fight with the sun rays at noon, old hidden houses dance under the full moon. Broken and rusty wells buckets squeak in the wind. the valley is in a fog, the murmuring whistles left behind. Weary peasants with their scythes on their back return from the fields. Tired but happy they walk the same track. The old bell fills with the sound the new evening. My soul, full of your love, is slowly burning. Ah, soon, very soon, the village in the valley will be silent. The sound of my steps in a hurry to you can be heard in this quiet. By the acacia tree we will sit hours, the whole night, declaring our love for each other until the morning's first light. We will finally be sleeping, you with your beautiful head on my chest, I dreaming on how fortunate I am and how blessed. The old acacia and the moon are watching over us from the sky. For a night like this, who wouldn't be willing to die? As I told you, he wrote this kind of poetries, very beautiful one, very sensitive ones. And maybe because of this, and not only because of this, he is considered one of the most important and greatest Romanian poets. Somehow connected with this poetry, and I want to show you Mihai Eminescu. He was at the age of 20 years old here. He was a very young student. He studied at Vienna in those years. He was born in the north of Romania, in Bucovina. And in those times, Bucovina was part of the Habsburgic Empire. This is our story of our nation. We all the time lost territories, recovered it. Was a continuous struggle with this. And he create a lot of poetries in those years. So as I told you, the third poetry, it belongs to a poet which lives in our times. It's about Nikita Stănescu, and you can see him here. He lived in the 60s. He died at the beginning of the 80s, in 1981, I think. And his lyrics, his poetries were a little bit different by the ones of Mihai Eminescu, and the ones which I wanted to recite it from you now, it's called March Rain. Also, it was created a song with the lyrics of his poetry, a very beautiful and sensitive song, sung by a girl here in Romania, and I hope you will like it, because after that I will have a longest poetry. But for the moment, let's focus on this one. So, March Rain by Nikita Stănescu. It was raining hellishly, and we were making love in the attics. Through the oval window sky, the clouds were flying by in March. The walls of the room were restless under chalk drawings. Our souls were dancing unseen in a concrete world. Your wings will get soaked with rain, you said. It rains with globes on the globe and through time. No worries, I said, Lorelei. My flights get soaked with feathers. And I was floating away, and I didn't know where I had left my room in this world. And you'd shoot after me. Answer me. Answer me. Who are more beautiful, the people, the rain? It was raining hellishly, a completely mad rain, and we were making love in the attics. I wouldn't have wanted it to end that much. He have the talent and the gift to recreate something that certainly many of us was living in this world. A rainy day in March or in September or in October, together with our beloved ones, into an attic, only us and our universe and our love all together. The next one, the fourth one from the fifth, which I promised it to you for today, It belongs to Ștefan Augustin Doinaș, which is another poet from our times, from the last 30-40 years in Romania. And his poetry, The Silver Tusked Boar, it's called, became famous in 1984-1985, when in Romania, in the communist Romania, existed a real phenomenon, I can say. It was around of the newspaper called The Flame, led by the poet Adrian Păunescu, which I recite the last poetry from his creation. This Adrian Păunescu created a band of the most gifted folk singers from the country, from the best poets and singers of Romania in that moment, and the concerts of folk music, which he organized it on stadiums, was like a concert of Rihanna from today, for example. So thousands of people, 20, 30, 40, 50,000 of people was coming together for these concerts of folk music, patriotic music, love music, and because he was one of the most gifted poets of Romania, this Adrian Păunescu, and this poetry, The Silver Tusked Boar, was recited during of this concert. And if you imagine that in the moment when they recited this poetry, those 30,000, 40,000 people from the attendance was all of them quiet, and you can hear only the voice of the actor reciting the poetry. I will try I will try to approach of that unbelievable performance. Hello, Maggie. And I will start now to recite the Silver Tusked Boar poetry, which is, you will see, you will understand. It's about looking for the target of your life, looking for something impossible to touch, and when finally you find it, you touch it, sometimes you will see what's happened. So, The Silver Tusked Boar by Ștefan Augustin Doinaș. A prince from the east, with a fondness for hunting through forest of darkness, was trudging his way, while striving and toiling a pathway to render a flute he was playing, and this he would say: "Oh, come, let us hunt in mysterious forest the silver tusked boar that is stalwart and sly. In secretive hiding he daily reshuffles his hoof and his fur and his glistening eye." "My lord," said his servants, his yeomen and huntsmen, "that boar is not known to have roamed around here. So what we should chase are those flamy-furred foxes, or frockly rabbits, or fidgety deer." The prince did not listen. He just went on smiling and gazing at colors in constant advance. He heeded no doe deer, he minded no stag deer, he never afforded the lynxes a glance. He pushed off the weeds as he stood under beech trees. "Oh, look how he's whirling in turbulent mood. The silver-tusked boar is no doubt very near us. Come on, let us smite him with arrows of wood." "My lord, this is the water reflecting the light rays," his cunning retainer was quick to remark. "Enough," he retorted, beholding the water that gleamed like the tusk of a boar in the dark. He goaded the man as he stood under elm trees. "Oh, look how he burrows himself to conceal the silver-tusked boar, how he's huffing and puffing. Come on, let us smite him with arrows of steel." "My lord, it is only the rustle of grasses," replied the retainer increasingly stark. "Enough," he retorted, beholding the grasses that gleamed like the tusk of a boar in the dark. He further emboldened the man under fir trees. "Oh, look, where he seeks to escape and retire, the silver-tusked boar of the legends and stories. Come on, let us smite him with arrows of fire." My lord, it is merely the shimmering moonlight, the smearing retainer did scornfully bark. Enough, he retorted, beholding the moonlight that gleamed like the tusk of a boar in the dark. But woe! At the spring, as his thirst he was quenching, as over the water he leaned in the dusk, a boar most enormous sprang up out of nowhere and savagely gored him with murderous tusk. What beast so ferocious is bleeding my bosom, aborting the hunt of my coveted boar? What ominous fall of the moon is now weeping? What leaf is upon me, all withered and sore? My lord, said his servant, your lordship fell prey to the silver-tusked boar that your lordship pursued. The hounds are still barking and trying to get him. Enough, he retorted, forlorn and subdued. I wish you toward heaven your door now, till heaven receives me in it, on that tune. Beyond the horizon, the pale moon was sinking, the hunting horn sounded, then quieted soon. It's a sad end. It's a sad end of the poetry when he finally finded the silver tusk boar. The silver tusk boar killed him. Thank you, Karen. Thank you. I hope you like it. I hope you like it all. And to continue and to end into the same sad atmosphere, I will recite you the last poetry from now. Thank you, Jim. I appreciate it. It seems that I've done it good. This is Adrian Păunescu. It's the poet which organized that concerts on the stadium of folk music and Romanian poetry. And he wrote a lot about social problems, about parents, about life, about problems of the communist Romania. Actually, this guy had a book of about 600 pages of censurated poetries. So poetries which wasn't allowed to be printed in Romania and distributed to the people, because were poetries which criticized a lot the communist regime. The last poetry from this session, which I wanted to recite it to you, is written by him. It's called The Repeatable Burden. And I know that many of you will find the truth from these lyrics in your own lives, because it's a poetry about all of us. So, Repeatable Burden by Adrian Păunescu. Who has parents on earth not in thought, he still hears even in sleep the eyes of world crying. If we have been not, or if we are good, today getting older, we are missing the parents. What parents? Some people who don't have room anymore by so many children and so much bad luck. Some cross is alive yet, breathing harder and harder are these parents who always sigh. What parents? Some people, there they too, who painfully know what it's €100. Whether they are young or not, according their documents, it doesn't matter at all. They've become white of longing to have their child a step higher, how much more work, and what torment, what sleeplessness. Even now when I'm writing, as if I'd scream, I know and feel them suffering somewhere. We remember of them after long weeks, all children what we are with all parents. If they bought woods, if their bones age, if they didn't die sad in their houses. Between them and children is a progeny of dogs, and is the shadow of lead of the daily bread. who has parents on earth, not in thought. He still hears, even in sleep, the eyes of all crying. That from all that exists, the hardest thing is to be not a child of parents, but a parent of children. The eyes of world weeping, many tears have been wept, but for the flood is not yet enough. Do we still have parents? Do they still have children? On the land of crosses, only human not to be. Humbled of needs and with bowed head in poor little town, in a remote village, they are still waiting even now signs from ancestors or letters from children telling they are lucky. And like some ghosts, they come rarely out of the gates talking about us as about their dead ancestors. Who has parents is not lost yet. Who has parents still has a past. They made us, they raised us, they brought us here, where we have our own children. They can seem annoying when you have nothing to ask them, and generally they are bothering a bit. They either don't see, either don't hear, either make the steps too small, either it takes too long time to tell them and explain. Hunchbacks dance in an infertile rhythm. They ask if you know a chief of a hospital. Isn't that you feel a pity of all, especially that they cannot anymore? That you feel them as a burden, they know that it's true. And they look at you like they'd implore you. We have yet a short time to carry. On the conscience, the burden of this decline, and then we'll be very free under heaven. They will be less those who don't have and ask to us. And when we'll start to feel too that a burden we are for our children, and hardly after a sad and late time, when we'll know desperately news which today they don't know, we'll understand why the children soon forget, and they don't see any eye of the world crying. And why is not flood on the surface, although always is raining, although eternally has snowed, although the world where we became parents for an eternity is shaken of weeping. Another sad story, as I told you, but sometimes you realize that it's true, especially in the relation with your parents. You have to explain them a lot. You have to tell them many other things. Here, so now we have to take care and to educate our children. And this repeatable burden, it's all the time. It's all the time repeatingly. Yes, Jim, a professor of mine in Indiana. Mihai Eminescu. Okay, I will take a look about him. I will take a look about him, Jim. And yes, I'm glad that you are familiar with the Romanian poetry and with the themes and the tones, because it's something typical for our poetry. What can I say? And as I used to already, I wish you good night, good day, depending on what region I live. Okay, this beautiful image of my hometown, Brașov. I live